How do I
I
close?
see 5 of you here. I don't know if there's more that I cannot see.
Yeah, currently total 5 besides you.
Okay.
People come, people in my class are the same.
Right.
Maybe less.
It's Indian Standard Time. They'll come.
Yeah, it's an Indian religion. That's why.
Right.
No, it's nobody's fault.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 11. Chapter is entitled The Universal Form. Text 7. Ihaikastam Jagat Krishnam
Ehaikatstam Jagat Krishnam
Pashyadya Sacharacharam
Pasyatya Sataracharam
Mama Dehe Gudakesham
Mama Dehe Guda
Kesha
Yachanya Drashtumichasi.
Yadrashtumichasi
Iha in this.
Iha
Yes.
Ekastam in one place.
Ekastam in one
Place.
Jagat, the universe.
Jagat,
The universe.
Krishnam, completely.
Krishna, completely.
Pashya, see.
Pashya, see.
Adya, immediately.
Adya,
Immediately.
Sa, with.
Sa, with.
Chara, the moving.
Chara, the moving.
Acharam, and not moving.
Acharam, not moving.
Mama, my.
Mama, my.
Dehe, in this body.
Dehe, in this body.
Gudakesha, O Arjuna.
Gudakesha, O Arjuna.
Yet, that which.
Yet,
that which.
Cha, also.
Cha,
Also.
Anyat, other.
Anyat,
Other.
Drashtum, to see.
Drashtum,
To see.
Ichasi, you wish.
Ichashi.
You wish.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
O Arjuna, so this is of course Lord Krishna speaking. O Arjuna, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see and whatever you may want to see in the future. Everything moving and non-moving is here completely in one place. Purport. No one can see the entire universe while sitting in one place. Even the most advanced scientist cannot see what is going on in other parts of the universe. But a devotee like Arjuna can see everything that exists in any part of the universe. Krishna gives him the power to see anything he wants to see, past, present, and future. Thus, by the mercy of Krishna, Arjuna is able to see everything. End of topic. Ihaikastam Jagat Krishnam Pashyadya Sacharacharam Mama Dehe Gudakesham Yachanya Drashtumichasi. O Arjuna, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see and whatever you may want to see in the future. Everything, moving and non-moving, is here completely in one place. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana-shalakaya Chakshur-vinmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shabanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is a very nice verse, but unfortunately Srila Prabhupada's purport is not very long, so he's put me in a little bit of trouble here. So I don't know what I'm going to talk about. But first of all, I want to thank Pyariman Prabhu for the opportunity. Don't really feel qualified to speak on anything Krishna conscious, but in particular verses like this, which are very profound, which carry a lot of meaning. But with the opportunity that is provided, the empowerment is there. So hopefully we all find some meaning in today's session here. Is everyone able to hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the chapter is entitled very clearly, right? So the universal form, and Krishna is just beginning to reveal that to Arjuna. It's a very exciting moment in this chapter. And this is in response to Arjuna's very nice request early in the chapter, right? He had asked to see this. And Krishna, due to his kindness upon his friend and in general for conditioned souls, is revealing this very unique form which he did not reveal anything like this before, right? In the Mahabharata, once he showed something like this to Duryodhana, but it's not this form. And Duryodhana, as we know, was not capable of seeing such a form as well, right? Because of his atheistic and materialistic mentality, he was not qualified to see Krishna in this form. So Arjuna is, of course, such an exalted devotee of Krishna, and that's why Krishna is not only speaking this entire Bhagavad Gita because he's a devotee and friend, but showing this universal form to him. What I find very interesting, even though Srila Prabhupada's purport is so short, there is still so much here for us to dive deep into, right? So every sentence here, so no one can see the entire universe while sitting in one place, right? Even the most advanced scientists cannot see what is going on in other parts of the universe. So just by those two sentences, he is helping us come to the platform of humility, right? He's reminding us of our own unfortunate condition, position. And at the same time, he's also declaring to the materialists that, you're not that great. Even though you may boast of this or that, we really cannot see a lot. Whether within our body or outside of our body, right? And then Prabhupada clarifies who can see, right? So he says, devotee like Arjuna can see everything that exists in any part of the universe. Now, we know very clearly that that doesn't mean that a devotee is same as Krishna, but a devotee sees because Krishna empowers, or if Krishna wants to empower the devotee with such a vision, right? Then a devotee becomes all-knowing. Like we have heard of this term Trikalagnya, right? So that's what this is talking about. Krishna gives him the power, gives the devotee the power to see anything he wants to see, past, present, or future. So just in those two sentences again, Srila Prabhupada is highlighting the very sweet, loving relationship between Krishna and the devotee that enables, or that is the source of this mercy that Krishna sometimes offers to really exalted pure devotees, that they can see everything. And there's always a purpose to do so. It's not typically random. Narada Muni is a very good example of someone who is empowered that way, because he has a very clear service to Krishna as the topmost preacher in the universe, right? For example. So he concludes, thus by the mercy of Krishna, Arjuna is able to see everything. I want to take the profound statements here in a certain direction today in this class, which is, I want to focus on this topic of morality, right? And this is one of my favorite topics, and so I hope you don't mind me spending a few minutes on this. Because seeing everything is not just physical seeing, but understanding things as they are, right? And which is the basis of morality, or which should be the basis of morality. And we know that from in Vedic culture, there are very few people who can see as Krishna sees, right? And those are exalted personalities, and they're known as the Mahajanas, right? Mahajanas or pure devotees. And naturally, that's why these Mahajanas, their teachings and their realizations form the basis of moral behavior, or should form the basis of moral behavior in this world. Unfortunately, people at large have forgotten these Mahajanas, so naturally their morality is very much material conception based morality. And so that's why people in general, and even those of us who are practicing, sometimes are very confused about what should I do and what should I not do, right? What is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is evil. Because it's not easy to ascertain these very finer points of morality. That it really, very simply put, it takes Krishna consciousness for one to be very mature in seeing things as they are, right? So this is why our process is, we follow the Mahajanas and the followers of the Mahajanas, and our great acharyas and the spiritual teachers and masters. And this is why it's so important to take guidance in Krishna consciousness, because like this term Tattvadarshini is used, right? So one who can see the truth as they are. But if one is not Krishna conscious, their morality is on the material platform, and it's very, very confusing for a materialist to know what is right and what is wrong. Although some materialists may claim that they have handle on morality, but in fact they don't, right? Because their handle on morality, in many cases, it may be well-intentioned, but it's still limited. It's based on their limited understanding. They're still acting within the modes of nature, the lower modes of nature, or even goodness. So it's very limited, right? So I want to introduce a few technical terms, if you don't mind, but this is how materialists look at morality or moral reasoning. There are a couple of levels of morality that they think about, right? So one level is what is called in academic circles, this language is used. It's called consequential morality, right? And as the word signifies, it means morality that is based upon the consequences of an action, right? So it's not morality that's based on action itself, but it's based on the outcomes of the action, right? And there is the second level of morality, which is called categorical morality, which is morality that relies on the action itself. So not just the outcomes or the behavior, but the action itself, right? So this is the level of morality which is on the level of duties and rights, for example, right? So to explain it a little bit further, so something is judged good or bad, not only based on outcome, but on the very action itself, right? So let me give some examples, and it may be interesting, and this may be a little bit of an invitation for you to participate. So imagine, you might have heard of this problem, but imagine there is a train that is coming at great speed on a train track, of course. And there are two sets of people on the track, okay? So the track divides into a fork, and one on the track that on one of the forks, there is one person who's standing, who's at risk because of this speeding train. On the other part of the fork, there are 5 people, and these are not Pandavas, by the way. There's just 5 people who are standing on that other track, right? Now, if you are, let's say, the driver of the train, right? So you're at the engine. You control the engine, and you can go either way now of the fork. What would be your decision here, right? So who wants to say what will they decide? Someone wants to speak up in this situation. So you have control. You can steer the train this way or that way. Which way would you steer it?
Can he stop?
No. That's easy. No, he cannot. It's a runway train.
if we weren't devotees, and it's harder as a devotee. If you're not a devotee, you want to
You're not a devotee, Prabhu. Let's assume you're not a devotee.
oh, then you just kill the one guy.
What if that one guy is Pyari Mohan, Prabhu?
It depends if he's a devotee.
Right. What about others? What do you guys think? Is there anyone else?
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhaktivinoda Swami.
Yeah, I'm hearing some
I think
chants, noise.
Can everyone put yourself on mute?
So, does anyone else want to speak up on this? What would you decide? So, Pyari Mohan Prabhu said he would steer the train to kill 1 versus 5.
that's if it wasn't as a devotee. It's like, well, I don't know what Krishna's plan is. It may be to wipe out those 5 people, but it's if you're going to wait, you want to save as many people as you can. So that's
Right.
what I'm thinking.
Right. So for now, let's assume it's not a devotee that is making this decision.
Yeah, then if I'm not if I wasn't a devotee, it would be easier. You got to save as many people as you can.
Okay. Anyone else differs from that? Anyone disagrees?
I mean, this is without knowing anything about any of these people, of course.
Yeah, because you don't know. These are strangers to you.
Right.
Right. So I think it's hard to disagree with Prabhu on this, right? Because it seems a very simple principle. Save more, sacrifice 1 versus 5, right? But I'm going to change the scenario a little bit, Prabhu and others on this one. Imagine
Prabhuji, I just joined couple minutes back. Can you repeat the question?
Sure. So there is a train, runaway train that's speeding on a train track, and it's heading to a fork. And on one side of the fork are 5 people standing. If the train goes there, all 5 will be killed. And then on the other side of the fork is 1 person. If the train goes there, of course, that 1 person is dead. So if you are the driver of the train, which way, and you have the control over the steering, which way would you steer? That was the question. And Pyari Mohan Prabhu said, and I qualified the question saying the train driver is not a devotee, he's a materialist. So Pyari Mohan Prabhu said, in that case, I would steer towards 1. And no one seemed to disagree with that, which is understandable. Because it's based on a simple principle, right? Now, I'm going to change the scenario a little bit. So imagine you still have that 5 people, right? But imagine you're not the engine driver, but you're someone who's standing above on a bridge, right? The train is going under and you're seeing 5 people there about to be killed. And imagine that there is a fat person standing next to you. Okay? And also imagine that you have some kind of mechanism by which if you turn, it will push that fat person from the bridge that is next to you onto the track and save the 5 people. What would you do now?
Well, how fat is this person?
Imagine very fat. What would you do now? It's still the same number. Numerically, you're still the same, right? 1 versus 5.
I wouldn't do anything because it's not my call to put the fat man on the,
Right.
on the platform.
Exactly. Good point, right? Good point. Because what right do you have to steer something to push the fat person, right, onto the track?
And why is she,
But-
why is she assuming it's a man?
I don't know. Uh,
But you could jump yourself, right?
so that's an option. That's an option. So we'll come to that, Mataji. We'll come to that. So, but what was different in the first case? We said all of us agreed that if I were the driver, I would kill the one person versus 5 because numerically that makes sense. But in the second case, what happened? Why did we not follow the same moral principle? Why did we hesitate?
And one reason is that that person wasn't going to get killed. Definitely not.
But one could say the same thing about the one person who's standing on the track.
That he won't get killed? Why? If he goes that way, he has to get killed.
Yeah, but the train, the engine driver was going to steer it that way, right? He wasn't doomed to be killed at all cost, right? It was going to be a matter of decision by the driver.
Okay, but it's if one choice is I have of saving 5 people or saving or not and or saving or killing one. One has to die. The other one is I'm just sacrificing somebody. Somebody who is next to me. I mean, they have one fault. They ate too much. That's it. It's totally different because I'm killing that person. The other one I'm not really killing. I'm just I have to do one thing, one or the other. I definitely wouldn't kill that person. I mean, I don't think anybody. I don't think any, even morally, let
Yeah.
alone as devotee.
Right.
It depends who that person was. If I knew them, maybe. There's some really bad people.
Imagine I want to share a different scenario, but very similar problem. Okay. So imagine you are in an emergency ward in a hospital. Okay. There is one person whose every organ is failing, left, right, and center. Okay. And then in a different room, you have 5 people, each one requiring an organ to survive. Would you take the organs from this one person and give it to those 5? Take some of the healthy organs and give it to those 5.
While he's alive.
But the person is dying. It's going to die.
Yeah, he's going to die.
I mean, we're all going to die, but I mean, die real soon.
Right. We would, right? So we would take those organs likely and give it to the 5 people who might survive, right?
Can you wait till he dies and do it?
No, you're running out of time.
Prabhuji, these are very ethical question. It's complicated. You can't do
It
that.
is, that was the intention of the questioning. So
So we should.
now imagine.
Only if that
imagine
person
a
gave you
different scenario.
permission.
Imagine a different scenario where you still have these 5 people who each requires an organ for them to survive. But imagine a healthy person, fully healthy person now walks into your office. You're the doctor. Would you take the organs from this healthy person and save the 5?
What do you think?
No, I don't think anybody would do that.
They can't.
So once again, the numerical argument breaks down, doesn't it? Right?
But in New York City, they said something similar. A statement. It's going viral that you cannot decide who to give ventilator and
Right. Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So these are real problems. These are not.
The person who told, I don't know if it's true. he's in trouble. If it's
That's
if it
not
was
me.
if the statement was made that way,
Right. It's not me. So uh, what we see from these two examples are basically this tension between these two levels of morality that I talked about earlier. So the consequential morality is the morality that relies on the outcomes of the actions, right? So if I'm the engine driver of the train, and if I'm a materialist, and if I'm operating on the level of consequential morality, I'm going to make the decision that Pyari Mohan Prabhu said, which is I'm going to kill one, save five, right? So this is the philosophy of what they call utilitarianism, right? So basically, maximize the well-being of the greater number of people, right?
Yes.
And it's actually the basis of many things we do here in the Western world. It comes from philosophies like this, right? Now, the other one is the reason we all struggle with that other option, which was, can I push that fat person or can I take organs from a healthy individual? We all felt very uncomfortable doing that because at the level of categorical morality, which is morality that relies on the action itself, not on the outcomes, it felt wrong, right?
Yes.
Within us, we felt wrong. That's just not good to do.
Right.
The action itself is just not good to do. It just doesn't sit well with many people, right? So that's the struggle if you're on the level of categorical morality. And think about this: if you're not Krishna conscious, if you're just on the materialist platform, this is the two levels that you're constantly struggling with every day in your life, pretty much, right? We are constantly thinking, should I do this or should I not do this? Is this good? Is this evil? Right? Should I pick a fight with my relative or not? Should I pick a fight with my neighbor or not? Right? Should I dump trash, in my neighbor's backyard or not? So, from simple things like that to complicated moral problems, materialists, we act on these levels. But for devotees, there is another level, fortunately, which is, I'm borrowing from the language from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and you also see this in Srila Prabhupada's books a lot, which is this distinction he makes between constitutional platform and conditional platform. Sounds familiar to everyone, right?
Yes.
So constitutional is basically the platform of the soul or pure consciousness. And then the conditional is these two levels I talked about earlier, the categorical and the consequential moralities. So fortunately for Krishna conscious devotees, we have the opportunity to act at the level of constitutional morality. Now, what is constitutional morality? So let's define that a little bit. Based on our teachings, right? So there is, this is not a dictionary book definition, so bear with me. So constitutional morality is, unlike the consequential one, it is not morality that's just based on outcomes. It is not morality that's based on the action itself, but it is morality that's based on the consciousness that's driving those two. Right? So what that means is, if the consciousness is in the right place, which is if we are in Krishna consciousness or in the mood of service, then we can be assured that we are acting on the constitutional platform. And whatever actions and outcomes that are coming out of that platform, we can once again be assured that we are acting according to principles of Dharma. Does that make sense? So I think Mother Jiva, I think it was you who said earlier, why don't I sacrifice myself? Why should I push the fat person, right? Now, that is this consciousness of, let me be of service here, right? I don't want the 5 to die. I don't want to push this fat person because I'm not the doer. It's not my, it's not my decision to kill someone. Instead, I want to sacrifice here, right? That's one option. I'm not saying that's the only option for a devotee, but that's definitely one option. Another could be you're the engine driver, but now if you're a devotee, you have 2 bad options. And if you don't have the option of sacrificing yourself, maybe you just have to get into that mode of service, right? And really deeply pray to Krishna. This is a very, very awkward position. Please direct me here because you may have a plan here that I don't see. And it's not very different from the situation Arjuna himself found in the Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? Krishna put him and the Pandavas in a very awkward position because Bhishma and Drona were on the other side. These were worshipable personalities for the Pandavas. So think about this, if the Pandavas were operating on the conditional morality platform, right? Either consequential or categorical, oh my God, it would have been very tough. What should I do? Such a hard dilemma. But instead, they chose to act on the platform of constitutional morality. So Arjuna did not hesitate to kill Karna when Karna was down. Yudhishthira did not hesitate to lie. Right? And so many different instances throughout Mahabharata where Krishna seemingly created very awkward moral situations for his devotees. But every time the pure devotee came out triumphant because they surrendered to Krishna on this platform of constitutional morality. Because they knew, unlike Duryodhana or Karna, they knew that if I operate on the conditional morality platform, I'm toast. Even though apparently I may do something right, in the eyes of Krishna, it won't be right. And which is what morality is all about. It's all about eyes of Krishna, through the eyes of Krishna. What is right? Am I making sense? Are you all still with me?
I'm with you. So far, you're making sense.
Right? So if we can take this framework, right, and can apply it in our day-to-day lives, in our relationships with our spouse, in our relationships with our kids, with our relatives, with friends, people at workplace, imagine the amount of clarity that we will have if we can constantly be on this platform. I know it's not easy. It's easier said than done. And often we get pulled into this consequential and categorical platforms, right? Even as practicing devotees, we often find ourselves there. Right? Yesterday, there was a nice question. I think His Holiness Advaita Swami Maharaj really handled it very well. There was this question about coronavirus. Should we quarantine or not? It's once again, what do you do? What is right? What is wrong? But what Maharaj kind of took us, where he took us, at least as I understood, was took us to that platform of service. Because if you're on the platform of false ego, then it's going to be this morality or that morality. It's not going to be Krishna's. So that's what devotees are kindly doing to us on an ongoing basis, is taking us to this platform. So we don't get caught in these very complex two levels of morality that are that don't bring any happiness or clarity. So this is very interesting. So if you see, even in the second chapter, the very first thing Krishna does while speaking the Bhagavad Gita is, before telling Arjuna what he should do, Krishna actually tells him who you are. See, this is very interesting. He's not telling Arjuna, okay, go do it. He's actually first telling Arjuna, what is your identity? Because if you understand your identity, and it is on the constitutional platform, what to do will become automatically clear. And we see that Arjuna gains that clarity towards the end of the Bhagavad Gita, right? He says, I'll do what you wish. So his immediately is, as soon as identity becomes clear, morality becomes clear, what our duties are. But if the identity is not clear, if I'm thinking, I'm so-and-so, I'm in this body, I belong to this country or this community or that community, our morality is going to be limited because of all those upadhis or designations. Does that make sense? So let me stop there. I think we have about 15 minutes. So I want to see if there are any questions. And especially if devotees want to bring some real life examples, maybe we could try to apply this.
Actually, I want to give an example of what you just said, the constitutional versus conditional morality.
Okay.
So at work, they're collecting money for food share programs at this point when people, are losing jobs and things like that and in need. But I don't want to give to the food share program because I don't know what kind of food they're distributing. It is more conditional food, Whereas if some devotees are collecting for the same kind of food share program, I would want to give because they're giving prasadam on a constitutional level. So wouldn't that be a difference between conditional morality and constitutional morality?
It definitely, but let's complicate that situation a little bit more, Mataji, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're the CEO of the company, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you're actually leading that effort to give food, all kinds of food, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not prashadam. And then prashadam may be part of it, right? So you may have some people, or you yourself may bring some food as part of a potluck, let's say.
That's
right?
different. That's different. I've done that.
But imagine you still have to drive this activity as the CEO of the company. What do you do?
Mm.
And it's riddled with sins, right? It's
Yes.
riddled with sins. So what do you do? Now,
Holding
I don't have an answer. I'm just going to
No,
pose
I was going to
questions.
say the holding a CEO position is riddled with some sins.
Exactly. Because part of our challenge is we are implicated, or we have implicated ourselves in this system of materialism very deeply in some cases, right? And that's going to come with some consequences, and it comes with certain risks. But regardless, even in those situations, a devotee is going to, the key is, even if I'm the CEO, what turns on the switch of constitutional morality is, have we turned off the switch of false ego? So externally, we may not be able to impact things a lot, but if we are able to switch our consciousness to the higher level, so going deeper into that meditational space and connecting to Krishna at a very deep level and saying, you know, the situation I'm in, it's very awkward, but I have a service here to do. Please guide me, right? And so just getting into that mood is something that is advised. And then how that manifests in external circumstances, that's a totally different issue.
Yeah.
Right.
On the other hand,
what
I've given
we
things
control-
for backpacks and clothing and things like that, you know, so you kind of, it doesn't look like you don't want to give it off.
Possibly, but remember, once again, I want to highlight this implication that I talked about earlier, right? We are in this society which overall is materialistic. So even the backpacks carry some sin with them,
Correct.
because
Yeah, I
maybe the
agree.
backpack
Yeah.
is made in third world country by poor children who are trafficked.
That's possible. Or it's used for something.
Yeah. It's very hard to find something so pure in this world. Everything has become contaminated in one form or the other. But that's a very nice example. Thank you for bringing it up. Anyone else?
I have something just about, on spiritual platform, what we're supposed to do, from the day-to-day things. If we acted on this, if we acted on it, we'd be pure.
Right.
That means I'm listening to Super Soul and telling me what to do all the time.
All the time.
And sometimes we can, when we really, really try. It's a big problem. We may concentrate for so long, but that's where we can try and do what we think is the right thing they want us to do. But at the same time, to know for sure, it's, you're not always so sure. It was easy for Arjuna and Yudhisthira. Krishna's telling them right there, right in front of them, this is what you should do. And even that, Yudhisthira hesitated to lie. His chariot touched the ground because he hesitated to listen to Krishna.
Right.
So it's to be on that platform is fantastic. Even once a devotee told Srila Prabhupada, I'm so selfish. He was telling Srila Prabhupada, like revealing how he felt. He said, I'm so selfish. And Prabhupada said, it's okay to be selfish if you know who your real self is. So it's, if we can think like that, then, I mean, even in the day-to-day dealings, if we try, we'll be protected. I want to do
It's a great start. It's a great start. Exactly. Even though we may not, we all, I think we have to recognize that we are still on the mixed devotional platform. We're still struggling to be Krishna conscious. But if we can be on this platform or try to be on this platform, it's a great start. And even if we falter, we can come back again to that platform and say, okay, let me go back there. Let me go back there. Let me go back there. So constantly trying, constantly practicing.
If you're sincerely trying to make the right decision, what Krishna wants, then that's the right decision. Even if it may seem like the wrong decision, you made every effort. If you're sincere about it, trying to do whatever Krishna wants, then you're protected. Even if it isn't exactly what Krishna wants, because you're not so pure, but you're still protected because you're really trying to do that.
Right. Thank you for sharing that, Prabhu. Mother Jiva, do you have any comments?
Oh, I was just trying to think of the verse that, those who constantly endeavor to worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. It's
Right.
like that constant effort,
Right.
that's the our intention, that's
Right.
meaningful.
But Jiva, don't they also say that the hotel is paved with good intentions?
Yeah.
So is intention enough?
That's the Christians.
No,
Oh.
it's also us because we got good intentions, but
Well,
if we
you got to
don't,
act on it.
you have to act on it. If you act,
Exactly. I mean, I might have a good intention of getting up early every morning, but if I don't act on it,
Right. It's like the two things, you have to show you on it. It's all, everything's dependent on mercy, but we have to show that we want that mercy.
Mhm.
Even the Christians do say it's not by works alone. It's mercy too. They really,
Right.
I'd like to say something. It's kind of a little off track, but it's about the track.
Go
Pun
ahead,
intended.
Talking to my son today, and while I was talking, he sent me this little clip about like the coronavirus, about how, but it was the example you're saying. The only thing is it's a little picture, a little drawing of people tied on the tracks. There's 5 people tied on this track and 1 person tied on this track. And you can switch the train to go to the 1 person. And he's saying that we have to make these decisions because who's going to live? Not everybody's going to live. And then he was talking about the economy, and he sent a different picture where there's like hundreds of people tied on 1 track, but now the train can stop. But in order to, if it stops, it's going to lose money.
Right.
So what do you do?
Right. I was
Now.
Yeah.
And I just like to mention something with Advaita Swami yesterday when the one devotee asked, there was like 200 people at this
right. Right.
temple, and should they be there? And my response was, they're probably all the same family living together.
But the previous example you gave, Pyari, are decisions that many people in society today, when this coronavirus is going on, are actually saying.
I know.
that,
It's saying
know,
how stupid they are.
They are only concerned about the money part,
I know. And even that, it's going to cost more money by not doing the thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to get into that too much. I
Yeah.
think it's a funny example.
I think the dilemma there is, should we should we suffer or should we die, right? Because if I don't have money, if economy is not good, I'm going to suffer. I'm going to suffer. And if more people suffer and a few people die, which is better?
I do think that the outcome will be, you're going to be less money by not stopping this sooner, because it's going to go on so much longer, people will be out of work. But I think that the politicians are more concerned with voting for them. And if they would have stopped this immediately before people got anything, people wouldn't want to vote for them. So they have to first show how bad it is and let all these people die just so they can get some votes. It's totally
right. Unfortunately, death has become a statistic. So you're hearing things like, oh yeah, it will be okay. Only 100,000 deaths. Will be fine, right? We'll be back in business. But this is the morality, at the materialist level, which is very unfortunate.
I know, they're not seeing any of those people as people,
Right. It's become a statistic. It's a data point, right?
Mm-hmm. But I was going to comment on your earlier comment that is it good to suffer or is it good to die? I think if you suffer, you might want to be a little more God conscious, and that might be to your benefit as opposed to if you die,
If you suffer, you burn off some karma.
Yeah, you burn up some karma, and also sometimes suffering leads to more God consciousness, or questioning, as opposed to dying.
Now we are getting very creative. Now we are getting very creative with the morality here.
John.
Nice.
Mataji, I want to make a comment on that. You said by suffering we can be more God conscious.
Mm-hmm.
That was the case, then all doctors would have been Krishna conscious, because they see so much suffering in the hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
Very few actually are really God conscious. So
Well, I
The
think
others-
suffering does bring people become more thoughtful. Not when others
Yeah.
are suffering. If other people
Yeah.
are suffering, it doesn't help me to become God conscious. But when I see the suffering around me, friends, relatives, people I know who suffering,
Mm-hmm.
then it does make me think of God. It said there's no atheist in the foxhole. The
Yeah.
for somebody who doesn't know what a
In war.
foxhole is, it's a hole you dig during the First World War, and you shoot at the people in their foxhole, and they're shooting at you. So what do? You pray to God. You don't want to get killed, even if I'm not sure if there's a God, but if you're there, please help me.
And the Bhagavad Gita itself says one of the ways to come to Krishna is through suffering,
Yes. So that is definitely a way people come. And Krishna did this because everybody there's practically no God consciousness. So people have to suffer. That's the reason people suffer. They don't suffer just because they did something wrong, but it's the main thing is they've completely given. They're just so much into enjoying. We have such a nice, cushy society. And so now he's showing how fragile it is.
And Ganapati Govind, the doctors are making a lot of money out of the other people's suffering. So that's why they're not suffering, like Bharati Prabhu said.
Yeah, I remember a devotee talking about doctors and you were there, Gita Mala, at his talk. I forget his name, but he mentioned about the doctors. They go in the operation, they cut up the body, they see it's blood, thick skin, different organs, guts, everything. And then they walk out of the operating room and an attractive nurse walks by. It's like, wow, look at her, It's like they see what the body is, and then they get in this illusion when it's covered. As Ridayananda Maharaj once said, who those who know the M&M's, what is it, the M&M's commercial, it's covered, this body, it's made of blood, pus, urine, bile, stool, mucus, but it's covered with a thin candy shell.
Prabhu, I still haven't eaten my dinner.
Blood and guts.
Right. Well, hopefully.
But and there's another thing that in the medical field that they've now discovered, like, before the doctors, when they were operating on a person, used to talk all kinds of nonsense, and then they realized that the person, even under anesthesia, hears everything the doctors are saying, and now they've at least in some hospitals and some doctors recognize that they should, playing soothing music or playing something, that the person wants to hear, or keeping them calm and not talking about like, oh my God, this looks really bad or something like that, as they're operating on him, is not a good thing, that they should watch what they say as they're operating.
So it's 8:00. We end here, right, Prabhu?
If you're hungry.
No, it's your call. Please let me know.
Well, I just want to mention this one thing. There's a doctor who's going to operate on this patient, and the patient's laying there, and he says, he said, Steve, everything is going to be okay. And the patient said, my name's not Steve. He said, no, that's my name.
But we should be fair, Prabhuji. I was very scared when it was in news that they were not giving ventilator to old people in Italy, and they are gonna copy the same thing here. I mean, we are we are reforming every day, and we don't want to die. We want to die, and we want to go back to Godhead. We don't want to land in heaven. So that's why we are making efforts to reform ourselves, our habits. So I mean, these ethical questions are conditioned ones. So everyone should be given, opportunity. Everyone should get ventilator.
If they don't have enough, then they have to choose. That's the point he was making. You
No,
have
but
to-
Okay. Anyone else has any burning comments, questions?
this is Madhav Kanta. So I'm still not clear why we are talking about and fearing about death. It's anyway coming. It can come any point in time. I heard that in many lectures, including Pari Prabhu. So what's the point of talking about, oh, I am getting ventilator, I'm not getting ventilator? I know we'll get or will not get. So that level of maturity, or I would say constitutional morality, right? That eventually soon develops. Death is gonna come anyway, right? So at least spend every moment, if we can, as we are devotee, hearing and chanting. If you cannot chant, let's say maybe old age, at least continue hearing until your ears are working.
Okay. Thank you for that nice message. And I think we saved one ventilator. We don't have to send it to Madhav Kanta Prabhu's family. So,
But very good point, Madhav Kanta Prabhu. Very good point.
thank you. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki.
Ki Jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Vanchakapatrabhyascha kapasindabhyeva
Patitanam pavanam